What a disgusting baseball game. An absolute disgrace. I am pissed off. This team has problems. We all knew about the problems before the season started, but now we're watching it on a day-to-day basis, and I need your help. Let's react to it. 215-592-9494. 7-0 loss. Unbelievable. Let's get to the wrap-up, which is sponsored by Roto-Rooter. When plumbing problems hit, wrap them up quick and call Roto-Rooter. Their team tackles clogs and leaks so you can stay in the game. Roto-Rooter, your MVP for plumbing solutions. Well, I actually thought the Phillies had a chance to strike first, believe it or not. But they're actually so awful with the bottom of their lineup that Brandon Marsh, with 2 men on, second and third, that's prime scoring chance, okay? Brandon Marsh does what he does, which is give us one of the most feeble at-bats I've seen, and you are so desperate. The following hitter is Johan Rojas. He can't do anything to the point where they needed to lay down a bunt because that gave them the best chance to produce a run. Do you know how embarrassing that is? Do you know how pathetic that is in Major League Baseball? Your best chance to do anything to score a run is to just squeeze in a bunt because you can't actually square up the baseball with the bottom of your lineup? Unbelievable. It gets worse because the third inning rolls around, and here's some of your top guns. Kyle, Nick. Nick goes down looking, all right? With Bryce Harper on second base. From there, the offense was non-existent. They had 3 singles all day. The last 20 or so retired. Nothing. No juice. It's pissing me off. Brandon Marsh doesn't know how to play left field. I thought Max Kepler is a guy that could play, Dave. Is Dombrowski out there? I thought Max Kepler was your fix, your outfield fix. That was your main job, Dave. This offseason, number 1 on the list of things to do. Go fix the outfield. Our entire outfield sucks to the point where we need to option half of them, if not all of them, except for Nick Castellanos. Then Alec Boehm can't even apply a tag. These are some serious problems. Before you know it, Zach Wheeler, unfortunately, allowed a 2-run bomb. But from there, double, Marsh running around like his head's not even on straight, not taking proper routes, this and that. This is terrible. And this team doesn't have the juice right now. They don't have any sort of life when they show up to this ballpark. The offense is terrible. I was told that they were going to have better approaches this year at the plate. You know what I hate hearing? Along these broadcasts, sometime throughout the middle of the game, yeah, this guy doesn't really normally generate this many swing and misses. How come I hear that all the time? Well, this pitcher doesn't normally generate this much when it comes to swing and misses, yet our team's just swinging and missing. Or here's one of my favorites. Just getting unlucky. Well, how come other teams don't get unlucky? It's us. We're always getting unlucky. Or we stink. No, I think our broadcasts do a great job. I'm just saying I'm frustrated because it's a problem with our baseball team. And I had a feeling our baseball team wasn't enough because of the lack of decision-making by Dave Dombrowski in the offseason. So obviously I'm ticked off. My biggest takeaway of the game, which is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, my biggest takeaway is Brandon Marsh can't play the sport of baseball. That's my takeaway. Can't play. Can't play. I know what to tell you. There's a difference between being in a slump and then this, right? I mean, guys who are in a slump traditionally look lost. They don't look right. They don't look as if they know what they're doing up there. This is that times 70 with Marsh. This is that times 1,000 with Brandon Marsh. And now it's impacting the defensive side. Same with Boehm. The defensive side, I think, has slipped a little bit in the last few games. I know a few games back, he couldn't turn 2 when I needed him to turn 2. And then in this game, can't apply a tag. I mean, ay. Let's go to the phones. Bernadette in Maple Shade, you're on WIP. What's up, Bernadette?
Brodes, who the heck is this team? What are they doing? They are a stupid, stinking circus and clown show. They don't deserve to be where they are.
That's a good way to put it. And listen, when they started out the season against the Nationals and the Rockies, I enjoyed it because they won 5 out of 6, and that was their job. But there were people saying, pump the brakes. Don't get too excited about the way that they've walked or their chase rate or their strikeout rate, because when you see better opponents, most likely those ugly issues are going to pop up again. And here we are, just, 10, 11 games later, and I'm watching crap, Bernadette. That's what I'm watching.
Yeah. I'm just letting you know, Brodes, the way I'm feeling about this team. I have so many curse words I want to say, but I know I can't say them on the radio, so I'm being very good. But in the words of a great comedian named Vic DiBitetto, this team ticks me off. They don't deserve to be where they're at. They need to go play Little League all over again and get their heads out of their rear ends.
Yeah, I love it, Bernadette. Thank you so much. I love it. It's the truth. It's unreal. I don't think I'm overreacting. I think I'm properly reacting. There's something not right. The DNA of this team, it was questioned before first pitch, and as we're watching it play out, here we are. They played Marsh and Rojas today. Last year it was the clear and obvious smack-in-the-face move you needed to do if you're the president of baseball operations. Never allow for those two to be out there again. They doubled down on it. They said, watch me. Are you kidding me? Joe in Delaware, you're on WIP. Hey, Joe.
I get it. Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right, are we on air?
You're on the air, my friend.
Oh, my God, that was fast. Okay. I just want to say we need to get rid of 6 people, and that would be Thompson, Dombrowski, not Dombrowski, Dumb, D-U-M-B, Long, Marsh, Bohm, and Stott. Ooh. And we need to get hitters and people that have heart, meaning the manager, the general manager. The players have heart. It's just the general manager and manager doesn't. I mean, I didn't even go to spring training this year because they ran back the same team that failed 3 years in a row. Well, what's going to make them better? What's going to make them better is give us some right-hand batters and stop getting left-hand batters. Get us some right-handers. We can't hit left-hand pitching. All we have is left-hand batters. There's Dombrowski with the D-U-M-B is got cancer, you know, just like we have a cancer in the dugout, which would be Bohm. That's hurting everybody else. And hitting is contagious. If we ain't hitting, it can't be contagious. That's all I have to say. You can talk about that, and I'll listen.
All right, thank you, Joe. I appreciate the phone call. I don't dislike Topper. Now, I think everybody's a part of this conversation when you talk about this team not having the fire that we like. But I actually think when you look at what a manager can do on a day-to-day basis with his personnel, I've seen urgency out of Rob Thompson to this point. I've seen him do things significantly different this year compared to last year and even the year before, just with, hey, that didn't work, boom, Kyle's now cleanup. That didn't work, boom, now we're moving Nick away, we're moving Bohm away from cleanup. We're putting Nick in there. Nick struck out 5 times, fine, let's go with Kyle. Before, it was, we're going to let this play out. We're going to give them time. We're going to allow for them to get comfortable. Now it's not as much of, you're giving a long, long leash to get comfortable. Now it's, hey, we are making changes day to day to figure out how we can best maximize this roster. But if there's no way to properly maximize this roster to the level that we deem acceptable, then boom, that's where the Dave Dombrowski combo comes in. He said 6 people he wants gone. Topper, Dave, Kevin Long, Marsh, Bohm, and Stott. Well, I'll tell you what. I co-signed Dombrowski. I definitely co-signed Long. I co-signed Brandon Marsh. The Bohm thing, they've tried. And they couldn't get rid of him when he actually had value. Some version of value. Well, his value even dropped more now than what it was in the offseason. They couldn't even move him then. Ay, ay, ay. 215-592-9494. That's the phone number. This is Final Out. We're having a blast. Let's hear from you, and let's react to a terrible baseball game, shall we? Coming up next, I'll share with you my player of the game. We can get more into Zach Wheeler and take your calls. It's Brodes. It's Final Out right here, 94 WIP. Let's go back to the phones. David in Doylestown, you're on WIP.
Hey, what's up, Brodes? And man,
what's up, David?
Terrible.
I know.
Terrible.
I know.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. I can't believe we came off that, high of whooping the Dodgers, and then this is what they look like? Like, are you kidding me?
I couldn't agree more.
What's going on? I'm confused.
Well, I don't think they're good enough is what it really comes down to. And I know they have firepower with Bryce and they got firepower with Kyle, but the truth is, it's like football. You need to have complementary football for it to truly work at a championship level. And right now, 1 through 9 and the bullpen compared to the starters, it's just not complementary where it needs to be. And when that's the case, it looks very dysfunctional. And then you see guys struggle out in the field because their at-bats are so putrid and these slumps are so heavy. They're not just standard slumps. They're 0 for 20 plus type of stretches. And I think it's wearing them down. So they're all over the place emotionally right now, David.
Yes, I agree. And, I talked to Sonny Hill this morning. He was talking about tradition and how all these great players are being erased. And I'm just I'm losing my mind. Like, the here and now is not the here and now. It's like the here and it's over.
Well, it feels that way with this Phillies group. Thank you, David. Look, it was a lot of pressure based off of where they were, and then they lose to the Arizona Diamondbacks in the NLCS at home. They lose to the New York Mets in the NLDS, and they double down. So when you double down, it's not as if there's this massive change. They didn't even change a coach. That doesn't happen. That's not normal. When you fail and when you don't live up to reasonable expectations and when you win the division and then you lose in the DS to your division rival in the stinking Mets, who are an embarrassing franchise, but they kick you in the teeth and take you down, and you do nothing, not one change, not one assessment internally. You keep the same hitting coach that has been part of the problem forever. You keep all these guys. You make no changes to your lineup except for Max Kepler, who can't even play, to the point where Marsh is back in the lineup and he's playing left field. Then, of course, this is going to happen. But it puts so much pressure on the team to deliver. And think about this. You're putting pressure on a guy like Bohm, who we know is fragile. How did you think this was going to go? It was always going to go this way. David in Maple Glen, you're on WIP.
Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
Oh, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it to 7 o'clock.
No, I hear you. I feel the same way, man. I really feel the same way. I got just a couple of points. I really think everything should be directed at Dombrowski. I mean, Thompson, what's Thompson supposed to do with 6 through 9? I mean, he's shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. So my points with Dombrowski are, it's been 3 or 4 years now since he brought in Castellanos to be the right-handed power back to be number 4 behind number 3, which is Harper. Well, that didn't work out. So he doesn't have a cleanup hitter or a hitter with right-handed pop to put behind Harper now for 3 years, which is absolutely incredible. So why are you paying Harper? So then they go out and they lock up all their pitchers and end up with a payroll of $300 million. They don't have a cleanup hitter or a right-handed power bat behind Harper, and they have an outfield that has no major league outfielders with the exception of Castellanos. Mm-hmm. That's their outfield. Mm-hmm. Dombrowski is an experienced guy who's won World Series titles. How does he look at the field in front of him and look at that outfield, which is the same outfield, as you say, that left the field last year except for Max Kepler, and think you're going to win games? You have an excellent starting pitching staff. That's great. But you can't score 1 run or 2 runs time after time, have your pitchers go out there, throw 4 or 5 shutout innings game after game, no breaks. They're high leverage innings one after the other. It's just mind-boggling the investment that they have made into this team and how poorly the roster is constructed. It's incredible.
David, you nailed it. Yeah, I think you nailed it, David, and thank you so much for the call. You nailed it. This is a huge Dave Dombrowski problem, and something you may have sprinkled in there a little bit. It was just so much fire. I just kept letting you cook. But Trey Turner, this guy's hitting 240. Now, there's plenty of season to go, all right? I'm sure at some point that's going to rise. Maybe. I think it will, because even a bad Trey Turner year was last year, and it was 290. So his bad's 290, but don't be fooled. It was a bad year. Don't just look at the numbers when the season's over. I watched the season. It was a bad year. But right now, Trey Turner is a monster contract guy. He's hitting 240. Not good. He may be a little bit better defensively as of now. I haven't seen anything as egregious as I've seen in years past, but don't rule it out of popping up at some point because you really don't change your stripes. He's hitting 240. So Nick is supposed to be a right-handed power bat. The second you put him in cleanup, he strikes out 5 times on the same pitch in the same game. He gets slotted into cleanup again today, and he goes 0 for 3 and watches strike 3 hit the middle of the plate when he's complaining to the umpire, and he leaves Bryce on second base after Bryce stole. So runner in scoring position failed. Again, which they constantly do. Bob in Sicklerville, you're on WIP. Bobby. Going once. Going twice. All right, I'll put you on hold. Seth in the Northeast. What's up, Seth?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call, Brodes.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I've been telling all my buddies, during the season, essentially this Phillies team is the same exact team. You kind of hit it on the nose. It's that they made no real changes in the last 3 years. I mean, 2022, you give them a pass, they make it to the World Series, they shock the world, whatever, and then the next 2 years you lose to a really subpar Diamondbacks team and then a stinky Mets team that got exposed by the Dodgers in the next series. And I've always said this, like, they never replaced Rhys Hoskins. I don't like to bring him up. I'm not saying he was like, the best player, but he gave you 25 and 90 and batted around 260 and walked a lot. And he was that right-handed pop behind Bryce. And that's fine. You want to get rid of Rhys, but then you have to essentially replace him. And you essentially replace him with Johan Rojas, who is not a player that should even be on a major league team. And in today's lineup, you can't have Marsh and Rojas in the same lineup. I don't want to hear you want to give Stott a day off. You got to have Stott in there almost every day, or you got to put – if you want to give Stott a day off, okay, then you have to put Kepler in there. Kepler hasn't been great either, but you can't put both those guys in the lineup. I don't understand. Listen, the fact is they didn't do anything in the offseason. Their bullpen is not that good either. And I'm not saying that they're going to be a terrible team because it's only April 13th. We still have a long way to go. A lot of things can change. But I'm looking at the same team that has failed the last 2 years, essentially. And what makes me think this team is going to do anything different come when you do play better teams or come if they make the postseason? I don't have any faith. I can't unless they go out and trade somebody. But who are you going to trade? Like, who are you going to trade for? I mean, I don't even know who would want Alec Boehm, and what else are you going to trade? I mean, if you're going to make changes, you should have did it in the offseason, or you should have done it at the trade deadline last year. You had so many opportunities to get players, and you just decided not to do anything. Like, and I don't know. I'm just
no. Listen, that's what we're here for, Seth. This is what we do.
It's very frustrating. Like guys like Cody Bellinger were out there. I'm not saying they're great players, but it's different. It's something different. It's giving you something that's not the same of what you're used to. In the last 3 years, it's the same thing. It's the same product. And when the same thing doesn't work, it's like I say, if you fail 3 times in a row, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you get the same result.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to get, Seth. I appreciate the call. Thank you. A lot of good stuff. Appreciate the passion. That's what we're going to do. And here's the truth, and we're going to hit a break here. 215-592-9494. We will continue rocking your calls all throughout the program. The truth is, when there's expectations on this group, they don't know how to handle it. Because in 2022, there were none. None. It was a fun ride that the whole city embraced. Once there became expectations to beat a team like the Diamondbacks, they couldn't. at home. They couldn't beat the Mets. They just won the division. They should have. When expectations are there, they don't rise. They just don't. They could win a lot of regular season games. The goal is to win a championship with the current build, and I just don't think that's what they can do. 215-592-9494. This is Final Out. Coming up next, your phone calls. We'll get into Zach Wheeler a little bit more into detail. And, yeah, that's what we'll do. It's Brodes. It's Final Out. It's 94 WIP. Let's go to Casimir in the Poconos. Yo, Casimir.
What's going on, Brody? What can I say, man? This team looks just as unwatchable as the Sixers and Flyers do. I'm serious when I say that. They look just as unwatchable as the Sixers and Flyers. And I can't believe this is where I'm at, but this is where I'm at, 15 games into the season. And I don't care that it's 15 games into the season because this is not just a slump. I'm sick and tired of people saying it's just a slump. They'll be just fine. They'll get out of it. No, they won't. Maybe these players just aren't that good anymore. Maybe Trey Turner is just not the same player as he used to be. Isn't the same Trey Turner as he was in 2021 or in 2019 with the Nationals. Just maybe, Alec Boehm and Brandon Marsh just aren't any good. Maybe that's just the case. Like, I'm sick and tired of everyone, selling themselves thinking we have all this great talent. I really don't think we have the great talent. I think the window's closed. I think we got these guys after their primes. I think this team is just too old. I think they're too sharp, I think they're too long in the tooth. And I personally, I'm to the point, if it doesn't turn around by, say, July, if we're by the All-Star break, or if we're by the trade deadline, and we look like this, and we're like, and we kind of look like we did in 2022, 2023, where we're just like hovering around 500, I wouldn't trade off prospects. I really don't want to do that because this team is not worth investing in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Yes, I agree. You have to strike when the iron's hot, and I agree. When you're hot and when you have that team to strike, you should strike like the Cubs did in 2016, like the Astros did in 2017 when they got Verlander. But I'm sorry, when you don't have a team that really looks like they're like that 1 or 2 pieces away from a championship. They're not 1 or 2 pieces away from a championship. They're like 4, 5, 6 pieces away from a championship. They need bullpen help. They need third base help. They need outfield help. They need depth. They need depth on the bench help. Yeah, and you know what, Casimir? It's not even help. They need a starting outfielder. They need a major. Yeah. They need two starting outfielders every day starting outfielders. They need an everyday third baseman. So I get what you're saying, and I agree with you.
And you need 2 bullpen arms. You need at least 2 bullpen arms.
Yeah,
at least 2 because they're not good enough. I'm sorry, this team is not good enough. They just kept telling us. They said it would be okay. They said they would change. I'm sorry, you didn't change anything. You didn't change crap. When doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is the definition of insanity. They literally went insane this offseason, did absolutely nothing. And I think I know why. One, they didn't have any money to do anything with. But also, number 2, I think Dombrowski realizes, hey, this team just isn't it. I don't have a ball club. I have a feeling if he really thought last year's team that was on pace for over 112 wins was as good as the 2018 Red Sox he was the GM of, then he would have went in. I really believe he would have went in, but I think he's like, this team just is not worth investing
Casimir,
in. You know what?
I
agree with them. They're not investing in.
I love you. I love the passion. I love hearing from you. You know that. A lot of passion. I hear the pain, unfortunately. I actually think, so a few things there. I agree. I'm not talking when I say, invest your prospects. The iron's not hot. When the iron's hot, you do that. I agree with you. Now is not the time to invest the prospects. But I'm just saying over the years, we talked about moving guys at the deadline to make that extra push. If this is the team we have and it gets to the deadline, I'm not selling off the Aiden Millers and the Justin Crawfords to try and desperately try something and just throw something out there and hoping it sticks. You got to do it when the iron's hot. The iron wouldn't be hot in that case. I'm thinking over the years, though, they missed out their opportunity to do something significant at the deadline and instead they got Tanner Banks. Someone caught him previously and called him white flag Tanner Banks. That's when he's out there, is when you're waving the white flag. That was a deadline acquisition, along with the Steves, guys who aren't here. I mean, come on, man. It's just not good enough. He does marginal stuff at the deadline, and that was very poor over the last few years. This year, we'll see what transpires when it gets to that time. With that said, though, when it comes to how Dave is assessing this group and how he assessed this team in the offseason, I think he does believe in them. I think he does. I don't look at him as the guy that studies this roster and assumes that they can't get it done, so that's why he's sitting on his hands. I think he believes in Trey. He believes in Bryce. He believes in Kyle. He believes in Nick. He believes in JT. He believes in Wheeler. He believes in Luzardo and Nolan. He may have questions on some of the complementary pieces, but I do think to the bottom of my core, he's studying what he has put together and thinks if the timing is right where the team is hot and we get lucky, this team can win a championship. I think he views it that way, and he's rolling the dice with that because he just needs to get hot at the right time. Although he's been rolling that same dice for a couple of years and it didn't land on what he needed. But it doesn't mean he doesn't believe it can't. He still believes it can. He's just continuing to roll the same die over and over and over again, hoping for a 6. But it's a 1, it's a 2, it's a 3. Just keep rolling that die because he knows the 6 is on there. And he's hoping that this is that one day. Now, unfortunately, I got bad news to tell him. It doesn't have a 6 on it. But he doesn't know that. But he thinks there's a 6 on it. How about that? That sounded great, didn't it? Came out of the rear end. That could have been a horrible description. Thought I had something there, though. Let's go to Alex in Woodbury Heights. What's up, Alex?
Yeah, hey, Brodes. Great show. Kazimir was actually spot on. It was kind of what I was going to allude to. Like, when you said that you feel the moment's too big for a lot of these guys, I don't think it's that. I just think it's you have a whole real core that's really exiting the prime of their careers. I mean, like it's a shame to say, but you've likely seen the best of Bryce Harper. You know, you saw the best of him in that MVP season. You've seen the best of Trey Turner. You saw the best of Trey Turner when he was in Washington, and the Dodgers. And that you can still win with that if the complementary pieces that are entering their prime do, hit. But all of them really seem like they're not going to. They just don't have the talent to. And, Dombrowski's biggest failing, and I can't believe it. It drove me nuts. Like, we all saw that at the end of that Mets series that Bohm was done here. It was, and then they floated. They obviously floated. The fact that it got out with multiple national media sources that this guy was available, he's mentally fragile. You can't bring him back, even if you lose the deal and you start going like, oh, you know what, we overvalue him. Then just take a serviceable reliever from somebody and get him out of it. It would have been addition by subtraction. That was an obvious move, and then they're going to have to do it now and save face and probably get less than they even would have done. Mm-hmm. But it was crazy to me that they did that, and it's just it's insanity.
It's a good point.
Yeah, and again, like you said, you're really 2 starting outfielders that they didn't address that. They took a shit like. You can't just he took all 1-year gambling. I said your callers have been great because the Middleton point again, as people have loved to say, this guy, he wants to do anything but win. He took on multiple investors because I think there was a point where he started saying like, I can't, he knows he can't compete at the Dodgers level. He didn't want to bleed more cash into this. He has put resources out, but you get to a level where you start going, can I play with the Mets and the Dodgers? Can I swim in that pool? And I don't think he felt like he could. And he wasn't willing to go into that next level of tax. And that's why you have Max Kepler and you have Jordan Romano instead of, Tanner Scott and, and Bellinger, things like that. So, there was multiple issues the way this was handled. And, the starting pitching, like your producer said, is good enough that they're probably going to be competitive. But, I mean, ultimately, do we feel like as is that this team can win the World Series? I don't think so.
Yeah, Alex, listen, all good stuff, and I greatly appreciate it. I want to touch on your Bone point there, and you may be very right with that John Middleton stuff as well, that he doesn't feel he can hang with the big boys. Now, part of my counter-argument is I know these contracts are getting bigger. I know it's getting hectic out there. Guys are making $700 million now and whatnot, but you can win a championship with the amount of money he's spending now. you should be able to allocate these resources in a way where the money they're spending now, even with the Dodgers doing what they do, you should still be able to field a World Series contender with that. So the amount of money that they spend, I don't think is a problem in the large scale. Now, if he feels he has to start getting marginal, with the Keplers, and that's limiting them because they gave Trey Turner the contract. Well, you signed off on giving Trey Turner a $300 million deal thinking he's going to be a shortstop that is game-changing, and he's not a game changer. You paid him to be a game changer. So if you failed by signing on the dotted lines, then you do have to at least owe us the respect to saying, all right, well, then this is where I do have to spend a little bit more than I feel comfortable spending in left field because Kepler's not going to cut it. Maybe he doesn't feel he has to do that, or he doesn't feel obligated to do that, and he just says, fine, we'll go with Kepler because I paid Trey Turner, and that could end up really hurting us at the end of the day. I don't know. But the Bohm thing you touched on how you have to get rid of him once it was so public, you're probably right. Knowing that he is very fragile and the mental side of the game normally gets to him just from a baseball aspect, let alone trade rumor aspect, it was probably going to intensify, and it has, clearly. It's April 13th, and this is the ugliest Bohm I've ever seen. We've seen rough Bohms. This is the worst of the rough Bohms. So it got to him quicker than I would have even anticipated. I'm starting to wonder if Dave Dombrowski actually had a reasonable deal on the table that he thought was not good enough, but actually was good enough and screwed up. Because we don't really know what other teams offered for Bohm. The only side of the story we heard were the Phillies saying, yeah, we dangled him out there a little bit, but we never felt we got a package that was acceptable for the type of talent Bohm is. Well, what is Bohm as a talent? Do they think he's a 20 home run guy that hits 300? Because that's not what he is. What did you value him at? So someone probably put together a package that is similar to a 270 hitter that doesn't have a lot of pop, but hits a bunch of doubles and is a good right-handed bat. And he goes, nah, that's not what Bohm is. Bohm's better than that. So then he poo-pooed it. He said, no, thank you. He hung up the phone. And then now you can't even get, a double bubble. Big League Chew. Some Red Man. Whatever. Some Chol. I'm frustrated. I'm a frustrated man. Ron and Monco, you're on WIP.
What's up, bud?
What's up, Ron?
Well, you are over the target, so you can open your Bombay doors now, and it goes a step beyond Middleton. Okay, so let's just take it all the way up the food chain because that's where it is, and that's a hard no from the board, include with Middleton. And that's where it all goes through, and it just trickles down. Now, Dombrowski, and I want to make sure that I squeeze this in because this is going to add to your anxiety. Okay? Okay, so there's a kid named O'Hoppe?
Yes, Logan O'Hoppe. Yep.
Okay, wasn't he in the trade for Marsh?
Yes, he was.
Okay, he's banging 360 for the Angels right now. It's total stud. Stud.
Well, hold on. They're going to re-sign JT. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind the pitcher that we let up for him. I was happy to have him. I mean, I thought I was getting the kid, Gary Carter, but he's definitely a defender, but he disappointed me with the bat and his stent here. Other than that, this is exactly what we're talking about now. We are over the target. This is where it's at. Middleton has been selling everybody. Now he's selling instead of a dollar dog night, I'm getting a better deal at 2 for $5. I'm getting a better deal. Okay, so everything. Listen, this thing is done. I knew it was done after the time they failed. Not last year, the year before. I knew it was over. Okay, and they are getting old, and it's going to get worse around here because just like O'Hoppe, he got traded out of here for Marsh. Okay, and now you've got all these old contracts going to block minor leaguers, and these two kids, Crawford and the other one, how old are these kids? Because I've seen them play, and I don't think there's anything special about them. How old? Do you know how old they are by chance? 20, 22,
yeah,
23?
they're in the 20 to 22 range.
Okay, well, see, We don't get the 5-star guys, 5-tool guys. We get guys. We get guys. We don't get superstars, the Acuñas, all them 5-tool players. We never get them. We never get them. I think the last one we had, Bryce Harper was like a 4.5 tool when we got him. Okay, 4.5 tool, but we ain't got a 5-tool player in anywhere near us. Nowhere.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. You're right. They end up being like, and Ron, thanks. I just got to hit a break here. They're like Stott, 240, 250 hitter, a guy who can play good defense. He's a major leaguer, right? I think Bryson Stott's a major leaguer. He's not game changing. He's a guy. We don't get game changers in our system. We just don't. And if you do, maybe I guess they're out in Los Angeles hitting 5 bombs and 333 with a 993 OPS. And we're going to know Hoppy when your catcher's getting older in JT.